set photos have revealed our first look at Sadie Sink in Spider-Man Brand New Day, seemingly filming scenes with Tom Holland as Spider-Man and Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner or the Hulk. New clues and evidence have pointed towards her character not being Mayday Parker or someone like Carly Cooper, but rather an older and more mysterious theory. What is that theory? Well, let's break it down. During the set photos, Sadie Sink can be seen wearing cargo pants, almost like military grade gear. Most of her costume is actually covered by a coat, and this was definitely done on purpose. Marvel and Sony do not want her costume getting out there because that is going to be a huge clue as to who she could be playing. However, we did get a slight look at the bottom of her trousers, and I think this is still a massive hint. Other set photos and videos actually show Sadie Sink's character also being taken off in a damage control truck as well. If you guys don't know, Damage Control is the company from Spider-Man Homecoming that infiltrated the cleaning of Chitauri Tech from the 2012 Avengers movie from Adrian Toomes. Damage Control have since had a hand in the MCU, also getting involved during the Ultron crisis as well. It's also worth mentioning that whatever they were filming here definitely takes place after a major action sequence. Sadie's character appears to be injured, but the biggest giveaway was that Holland was in his Spider-Man costume for those scenes, and also they featured Mark Ruffalo, likely indicating that the Hulk will have some kind of involvement as well. So whoever Sadie Sink's character is definitely involved in some kind of action. If this is the case, it doesn't disprove that she will be playing someone like Mayday Parker or even Rachel Cole, but I definitely think we can eliminate someone like Gwen Stacy or Carly Cooper out of the equation. However, what does disprove the idea of Sadie Sink playing Mayday Parker is, in this instance, the cargo trousers. Now, of course, a piece of clothing can't disprove that she's playing a character or not. That is absurd. However, you would imagine that if Mayday Parker was involved in this action sequence, then she would be in her Spider-Man costume. Or if she didn't want to get detected, Mayday Parker would not be anywhere near this action sequence to begin with, if she ended up being from a different universe. Which only leaves Rachel Cole. Now, Rachel Cole, for those of you who don't know, is basically the female Punisher. From the comics, Rachel Cole works alongside Frank Castle and even takes the mantle of the Punisher for a time. Cole also has ginger hair similar to Sadie Sink. We also know that Brand New Day will feature the Punisher, so it makes sense, right? Possibly, but I'm not entirely convinced. Because there's actually another character that's been doing the rounds recently, which I think is actually a far more interesting theory. And that character is Teresa Parker. For those of you who don't know, Teresa Parker is basically the long-lost daughter of Richard and Mary Parker and the sister of Peter. After the death of Richard and Mary, Peter went on to live with May and Ben. However, Teresa was adopted and her birth was kept a secret. Growing up, Teresa would be recruited into the CIA by Nick Fury, and like her parents, would go on to become a secret agent for S.H.I.E.L.D. Her path would then cross with Peter during the comics, during the family business arc, after she saved him from a gunman attack. Now, how does this all link into Spider-Man Brand New Day? The leading theory is that Sadie Sink is actually playing this Teresa Parker character, and her character will be the long-lost sister of the MCU's version of Peter Parker. That sounds absolutely insane when you just say it out loud, but hear me out. Although Sadie Sink's description on set is very canny of Rachel Cole, the cargo pants, the military-style outfit, and the involvement in major action sequences could also suggest that she is playing someone like Teresa Parker. A lot of the theories online and a lot of you guys in the comment section have also pointed out that if she is to be Teresa Parker, given the MCU's timeline, it would actually work. She could have been recruited into S.H.I.E.L.D. during the events of 2012's Avengers, and she could have been in the S.H.I.E.L.D. Academy just before Hydra was unveiled by Steve Rogers in Captain America: The Winter Soldier. And even though Teresa Parker in the comics is Peter's younger sister, that wouldn't matter in the MCU because Peter Parker got blipped. Teresa Parker could have just not been blipped during the events of Avengers Endgame, and there you go, they would be the same age come Brand New Day. But what about Peter's parents? Given the very nature of the MCU, it's likely that if this story was to be the case, Peter's parents were likely killed by the Winter Soldier or Hydra, which would also make a lot of sense, leaving Teresa to become adopted and to fend for herself, just like in the comics. Teresa's character would likely play off the idea of family bonds and loneliness, and that would definitely tie into her arc. Her internal conflict will be her struggling to reconnect with her past, and could tie into the idea of her seeking out Peter Parker, thus the reason they cross paths during the film. To add another small detail, it would also make sense why Nick Fury was so obsessed with keeping a close eye on Peter during the events of Spider-Man Far From Home. Despite earlier theories claiming it was because of Tony's death or something else, Fury would have known about Teresa Parker and potentially secrets that are hidden behind the death of his parents. And as we know, it wouldn't have been the first time that Nick Fury would have hidden something from our main characters, just like he did all the way throughout the Avengers up until Captain America's Civil War. Having Sadie Sink play Teresa Parker also makes a whole lot of sense for Peter's arc during this film as well. Like I mentioned in my video I made about Sink potentially playing Mayday Parker, Peter is all alone and has no one to turn to. Peter will likely neglect his life as Peter during the film, solely focusing on his duties as Spider-Man. Teresa Parker could potentially be the catalyst that Peter needs to get out of a rut and realize Peter Parker does in fact matter. The only thing that I really don't like about this theory, and you guys might actually feel the same, is that to make this work, they'd have to tread very close to the story of Peter's parents. Now, I'm not fully against Richard and Mary Parker having a massive role in the MCU. Well, no, that's a lie. I am. Listen, the point is, we saw what happened in TASM 2, okay? Having Richard and Mary Parker be involved in a major plot with Spider-Man, with Peter Parker, can go heavily wrong. I feel like them being S.H.I.E.L.D. agents makes Peter Parker becoming Spider-Man feel a lot more like a gimmick. Like something that was meant to happen, like it was meant to be destiny, not that it was just a random kid bitten by chance. It makes Peter's family feel way more important than it should, because the whole point of Spider-Man is that anyone can wear the mask, anyone can get bit. I know that's a controversial topic, but it's true, right? The whole point was that Peter Parker was just a random kid. So that would be my only downside with it. Either way, Teresa Parker would be a really interesting character, and it actually kind of works. Story-wise, and based on what we've seen from the set photos, she could 100% be Teresa Parker. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Subscribe for more Spider-Man content, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, and peace.